They should be able to.
Okay. Well, this afternoon we're on section 2 again, and we're at page 187, if you're following along the top of the page. It's good to see all of you. Good to see you, Marie. And Sunanda. Yeah, Davy Prawn over there in the corner. Hi. Wendy. Okay, we'll start at the top of page 187. The mother asked Swami Yogananda through me if he had received initiation already. He replied, "No, mother, the master did not give me any Ishta mantra. I repeat a holy name of my own choice." On hearing this, one day the mother initiated him. The mother was worshiping before a picture of the master and the urn containing his relics. She sent for Swami Yogananda and asked him to sit by her side. While performing the initiation, she uttered the mantra so loudly that I could hear it in the next room. From Vrindavan, we accompanied the mother to Hardwar. Swami Yogananda was in the party. While traveling in the train, he contracted a high fever. When I was feeding him with pomegranate juice, it appeared to the mother as if I were feeding the master. Swami Yogananda, in his delirious condition, saw a hideous-looking figure which said to him, "I would have taught you a lesson, but what can I do?" Paramahamsa Deva, Sri Ramakrishna, has ordered me to leave this place now. I am unable to stay here even for a moment. Pointing to a woman wearing a red-bordered sari, the figure said, "Feed this woman with some rashagolas." Curiously enough, soon after this vision, Swami Yogananda was relieved of his fever. Subsequently, we went to Jaipur from Hardwar. There we saw the image of Govinda and visited the various temples. While going around, Swami Yogananda suddenly noticed an image by the side of the temple and cried out, "I was asked to offer rashagolas to this deity." And in front, we found a shop selling rashagolas. We purchased 8 annas, 50 pice worth of rashagolas, and offered them to the deity. On inquiry, we learned that it was the image of Sitala. From there, the mother returned to Calcutta, and after a few days' stay at Balaram Babu's house, she left for Kamarpukur. After about a year at Kamarpukur, the mother went to stay at Nilambar Babu's house at Belur, rented for her by the devotees. There, in 1888, she stayed for about 6 months. She left the rented house of in Kartik, October, November, and spent a few days at Balaram Babu's house in Calcutta. Shortly afterward, she went on a pilgrimage to Puri. From Calcutta, she traveled to Chanbali, where she boarded the Cuttack Canal steamer, and from Cuttack, she went to Puri in a bullock cart. Now, I will let you know from personal experience. We think it's quite luxurious riding around in a bullock cart. It isn't. They are the most uncomfortable, jolting things you will ever have to set your little body down in and be kaboom, kaboom, kaboom all the way. Not comfortable at all. Sarat, Swami Saradananda, Rakal Maharaj, Swami Brahmananda, Swami Yogananda, and others accompanied the mother to Puri. She was accommodated in a house called Kshetrabasi, which belonged to Balaram Babu's family. There she stayed with Agrahyana, from Argyahyana, November, December, to Falgun, February, March. The mother lived in a room with a porch in the front. Since the master had not visited the temple of Jagannath, the mother one day took his photograph to the temple, concealed in her wrapper, and uncovered it before the image of Jagannath. After visiting the temple of Jagannath, the mother remarked, "I saw Jagannath to be like a lion among men seated on his precious altar, and I was attending on him as his handmaiden." On her return to Calcutta from Puri, the mother stayed at the house of Master Mahashai, Mahendranath Gupta, for 3 to 4 weeks, and then went to Antpur, the birthplace of Swami Premananda, together with Baburam, Swami Premananda, Narayan, Swami Vivekananda, Nag Mahashai, Sanyal, Vaikuntanath Sanyal, and a few others. After about a week's stay there, she traveled by bullock cart to Kamarpukur via Tarakeshwar in the company of Master Mahashai and some others, and there she lived for about a year. Then she went to Calcutta before the Dole festival and stayed with Master Mahashai's family at Kambulitola for about a month. Thereafter, she lived in Balaram Babu's house during the latter's last illness and continued there until his death. Next, she lived in a rented house at Gushuri near the cremation ground of Belur from Jaista, May-June, to Bhadra, August-September in 1890. As she had an attack of blood dysentery there, she was removed to a rented house at Varanagore, belonging to Surendramohan Tagore, for her medical treatment. Following a short stay there, the mother moved to Balaram Babu's house. From there, she returned to Jairambati after Durga Puja. The mother again came to Neelam Babu's rented house at Belur in June-July 1893. Then she spent the month of Falgun at Kalwar, Bihar, and from there she visited Varanasi and Vrindavan a second time, together with her mother and brothers. Coming back to Calcutta, she lived with Master Mahashai at his Kolutula residence for about a month and then returned to her native village. The next time she came to Calcutta, the mother lived for 6 or 7 months in a house attached to a godown on the bank of the Ganga in Bagbazar. It was at this house that Nag Mahashai, Durgacharan Nag, saw the mother. Then she went to her native village and lived there for a year and a half. On coming back to Calcutta, she stayed in the house in front of Girish Babu's. In this house, Nivedita lived with the mother for 3 weeks. Her next residence was at 16 Boshpara Lane, close to Girish Babu's house. It was here that Nivedita first organized her school. Next, the mother lived in a house in front of Ramakrishna Lane on Bagbazar Street. Sarat too stayed there. From there, the mother moved back to her native place. Again, she came back to Calcutta on the occasion of Durga Puja at Girish Babu's house and stayed at Balaram Babu's house. At that time, she was very much reduced owing to an attack of malaria. Then, following still another stay in her native village, she came to live in the new Udbodhan house soon after it was constructed. She next visited Kotar in Orissa, Madras, Bangalore, Rameshwar, and other places, and then returned to the Udbodhan house. 2 days later, the mother went to her native village where she gave away Radhu in marriage. This time, she returned from Jairambati to Calcutta for about a year. And from there, she went to Varanasi in October-November 1912. After staying there for about 3 weeks, she returned to Calcutta. In her younger days, mother had to cook often. Whenever her mother was unable to cook for some reason or other, she had to do the cooking herself. The mother said, "I used to cook and my father would lift the rice pot from the fire." Later, the mother spent much of her time in attending to her relations and devotees. Well, from that reminiscence, it sounded like the mother was a nomad for many years, she was moving from one place to the next and staying for not very long, a year or less every place she stayed. Now, this next reminiscence is recorded by Srimat Shirodbala Roy. The day I came from our suburban home in Calcutta to see the Holy Mother for the first time, I was feeling unwell. I went to Bog Bazaar in a carriage. On the way, I felt giddiness and nausea. I somehow arrived at the mother's house at Bog Bazaar, and climbing the staircase, saw the mother at the door of the long room adjoining the staircase. She was on her way to take a bath. She was standing with one of her hands on the doorframe, as if waiting for me. As soon as her eyes fell on me, she smilingly said, "Where do you come from, child? Why have you come?" I replied, "I have come to see the Holy Mother." At once she said, "I am the mother, my child. The master," his picture, "is in the other room. Salute the master and take your seat there. I shall be coming after my bath." Saying this, the mother left the place. I went to the door of the shrine room and saluted the master from there, and then sat down. I had carried some sweets to offer to the master. Nalini Didi came and, sprinkling a little Ganges water on the packet of sweets, took the packet from my hand and kept it in the room. In the meantime, the mother hurriedly finished her bath and returned. I noticed that the worship of the master and the offerings of fruits and sweets to him were already over, and everything was still lying in the shrine room. As I was feeling giddy, I was afraid that if the mother gave me prasada to take, I might vomit. When she asked me, "Have you brought something for the master?" I pointed to the packet of sweets I had brought, saying, "Yes, it has been kept there." The mother held the packet containing the sweets before the master's face and said, "O Lord, please eat." Then she gave me prasada consisting of some fruits on a brass dish and a little sherbet in a glass, and said, "Take this prasad. It will not cause any vomiting." Taking a little Ganges water from a water pot, she sprinkled it on my head and said, "I shall wait for you in the other room. Come after taking the prasad." Strangely enough, immediately after eating it, I began to feel all right. Then I went to the room where the mother was seated. To me, it appeared as if she were the universal mother, seated on an asana like a queen. Golap Ma, Gauri Ma, and Yogan Ma were seated around me. Though I felt the mother to be one of my very own, the presence of others sitting there made me somewhat hesitant. I became worried whether I would be able to tell the mother my innermost thoughts. I said to her, "I could not see you during the last 8 years in spite of my utmost efforts. Even after coming as far as Calcutta, I could not see you. I had to go back." On hearing this, Gauri Ma remarked, "Can anybody see the mother before the time is ripe?" I said, "I feel that the time has come now. Mother, now I have seen you. Kindly accept me. I have come here with the desire of receiving initiation from you. I have heard that one cannot have initiation before the time is ripe. Again, I hear that you send back some persons on the plea that they do not belong to this place. But if you refuse me, I shall not be able to live any longer." Staring at me intently, the mother said, "No, you will take initiation." Then she asked, "Daughter, what do you take on Ekadashi?" That's the second Tuesdays of the month, I think. Tuesdays and Saturdays, certain days. I replied, "Formerly, I used to eat sago, but learning that it was adulterated with various other things, I don't take it now. As soon as she heard this, the mother said, "No, no, I say you should take sago. It will keep your body cool." Then, with deep sorrow in her voice, the mother said, "Child, you have been practicing much austerity. I say, don't do it any further. Your body has almost turned into a piece of wood. How will you perform spiritual practices if your health is spoiled, my child?" She asked whether I used oil. I said, "I haven't used it ever since I was widowed." On hearing this, she said, "The use of oil keeps the head cool. Therefore, use oil." I said, "As I have not used it for a long time, I have begun to hate to touch it. I shall not be able to use oil, mother." Golap Ma said, "Though she is a mere child, she has spoiled her health by fasting and practicing other austerities." Gauri Ma said, "Dear, why have you cut off your hair?" I said, "Widows in our part of the country do not grow their hair." She replied, without hair, one's eyesight deteriorates. Since you have dedicated your body to Sri Krishna, how does your hair belong to you, my dear?" Yoganma said, "This body is the temple of God. It is wise to keep it fine." But the mother said, "You have done well. Keeping one's hair gives rise to a feeling of fashionableness to some extent, for one has to take care of it. So what you have done is right. You have overcome the craze for luxuriant locks, and you have also come here. You have now achieved that for which you lived so austerely. Now, I say, don't indulge in such austerities any longer. You will have initiation tomorrow. Come here at 8 o'clock in the morning. It will be nice to take a holy dip in the Ganges and to see Mother Kali on the day of initiation." I reflected that in seeing the Holy Mother, I had already seen the Mother Kali, and that I had become pure by touching her feet. Then I saluted her and left for home. My husband's younger brother, Satish Chandra Roy, a disciple of the Holy Mother, had accompanied me to the Mother's house. On reaching my home, I requested him to come from his residence the next morning to escort me to the Mother's house. After my return from Bagh Bazar, I was feeling giddy once more again. Nevertheless, I prepared myself for going to the Mother's the next morning, but Satish did not turn up at the appointed hour. I became very dejected indeed. At noon, Satish came and explained, "The Holy Mother sent me word last night saying, my daughter will not have initiation tomorrow, for she is not keeping well. Bring her the day after tomorrow, before 10 in the morning." So this was the reason for his coming late. I was astonished to think of the Holy Mother's divine insight. The next morning, I was feeling all right. Satish came at the appointed hour to escort me. Following the Mother's instructions, I arrived at her house with some fruits, sweets, flowers, bilwa leaves, and a sari with a narrow red border. The Mother's appearance, it seemed to me, was wonderful. Wearing a yellow-colored sari, the Mother was standing at the door, assuming, as it were, the form of my Ishta. As her eyes fell on me, she said, "You are already late by 5 minutes. Hurry up, come to the shrine." She herself spread an asana in front of the picture of the Master and cleaned it with her hand. I thought, how can I sit on the asana spread by her? Instantly, the Mother pushed the asana with her right foot, saying, "Are you satisfied now?" Goodness, The girl is fastidious. While coming home, I had tied coming from home, I had tied 2 rupees in coins on the loose end of my sari to pay the coachman with, but I had forgotten about it at that moment. As I was about to take my seat, the mother said, "Child, you have come to take shelter in the master who had renounced woman and gold. There are 2 rupees tied in the loose end of your sari. Take them out." Immediately, I removed the coins, kept them on the floor near the wall, and took my seat on the asana. It struck me that this mother was not the same person I had seen the other day. At this thought, I lost consciousness. Then and there, the mother caught hold of my hand and made me sit upright on the asana. Placing her hand on my head, she uttered thrice in a sweet voice the reassuring words, "Don't be afraid." She added, "Have no fear. Now you have been reborn. I am assuming the fruits of all the deeds of your past lives. Now you are pure. You are free of sin." Then I regained my normal state, and the mother gave me initiation. I asked her, "Is there any mantra prescribed for giving up the fruits of japa?" The mother said, "Don't say giving up the fruits of japa. Say offering the fruits of japa." She placed in my hand a little prasad of sweets and said, "After initiation, one should not stay with one's guru for long. So go home today and come tomorrow and take your noon meal here." I returned home after saluting her. The next day I went to the mother's house at noon and had prasad. After the meal was finished, I came and sat near her. She asked me, "Do you know how to read and write?" Read a small portion of the Gita daily and also the Kathamrita of the Master and Sri Sri Ramakrishna Punti. Many other books about the Master have also been published. Read them. I said, "Mother, you certainly know that I cannot give my mind to domestic affairs at all. And with that difficulty, I live among worldly people. I pray to you, please don't keep me in the midst of worldly people." The mother said, "Child, what is worldly life to you? For your worldly life is as good as living under a tree. But is life in the world separate from God? He is everywhere. Besides, you are a woman. Where will you go, dear? Be content with wherever and in whatever situation He places you. The goal is to call upon Him and to attain to Him. If you can call upon Him, He will lead you by the hand. You will have no fear if you can depend on Him." Another point. It is not wise that a guru and his disciple live together. For while living together, a disciple observes the life and activities of the guru, and very often takes his guru to be a mere human being. This causes harm to the disciple. It would be very good if the disciple could live in a place close to his guru's residence and spend some time daily in visiting his guru, enjoying his company, and receiving his instructions. However, unless there is some occasional contact between the two, the guru may not remember his disciple always. You should come here daily. At these words of the mother, I could clearly perceive the direction the remaining portion of my life was to take. The thought that I was destined for worldly life and not for a life of renunciation made me weep bitterly. Seeing me thus weep, the mother very anxiously tried to console me. She said, "Child, I have spent my entire life in domestic situations. You are quite young. It is more dangerous to visit here and there for the sake of religion. I say, wherever and in whatever condition you may live, The dirt of the world will cause no harm to you. The Master is there. You need not be afraid. You need not worry. After this, I saluted the Master and returned home. From that time, I used to go to the Mother almost daily, usually in the afternoon, and return before dusk. She had given me the necessary instructions for my spiritual practices, and she had also advised me to get any doubt or question resolved by her. But the very sight of the Mother used to fill my heart with joy. I felt that I had achieved everything, that everything had been accomplished, and that I had nothing else to ask for. To me, the Mother was no other than the universal Mother in all her glory and my chosen deity who was present before me as Guru. What else could I expect to receive? This thought gave me unbounded joy. Never did I ask the Mother any questions. I was content with whatever she said on her own. One day I said to her, Mother, you are the indweller. You know everything. Still, I emphatically say that I very much detest and fear the ways of worldly people. I have no family, house, or wealth, and I shall never ask you for any of these things. You are aware of my heart's desire. Please grant me that and keep me away from worldly people. Saying this, I wept bitterly. In reply, the Mother consoled me with simple words, just as a mother comforts her small child, and I forgot my worries and floated on an ocean of joy. At times, the Mother would say, the Master used to say, don't jump into the ocean of Maya, for you may be eaten up by sharks and crocodiles. But why should you worry? You have the Master with you. The Mother lived a life very much hidden from public view, and she made me do the same. I saw women devotees mostly. I hardly saw the monks of the Bellarmont. But even by seeing the Mother alone, I felt that I had seen all that was worth seeing in the universe. Now I think that she had accepted me only because I had such an attitude. The Mother used to say only this much: be content in all circumstances and take his name. One day, Sudhira Didi brought some girls of the Sister Nivedita girls' school to the Mother. One of them said to her, Mother, why do you not please allow Shiro Didi to stay with us? She can stay there and coach the girl students. But I never had even absent-mindedly talked with them about my board and lodging. Therefore, I was irked a little and said, why should they speak like this? The Mother replied, all persons are not born for the same purpose. You will learn and teach girls in turn. This is your purpose. But Shirode was not meant for this. No doubt teaching is a noble profession, but it is not meant for all. After the girls had left, the Mother remarked, is it an easy task to teach girls? Once I went to my native place, and while returning, I bought a pair of conch bracelets for Radharani. But when I tried to put them on her wrists, I found that they were too small. Radhu couldn't wear them at all, and she broke into tears. It brought tears to my eyes, too. I thought, with so much hope, I bought them, but Radhu can't wear them. Nalini Didi, Sarala Didi, Radhu, and I were discussing the matter quietly when the Mother, who was in the shrine room, called Radhu and said, all of you come here. When we went to her, she asked, what's the matter? Radhu said, weeping, this sister has brought for me such a beautiful pair of conch bangles, but I am unable to wear them. They are too small. Instantly, the Mother said, what do you say? My daughter has brought the conch bangles and they do not fit you. You should have come to me first. Come, let me see why they do not fit. Saying this, the mother put them on Radhu's wrists in 5 minutes. This made us all surprised. Radhu, her eyes still brimming with tears, now broke into a smile. The mother said to her, "Now you have a beautiful pair of conch bangles. Go and make pranam to the master, to me, and also to my daughter." As she uttered this, I felt my heart palpitating. I thought, Mother has never asked me about the locality of my home, my caste, or my relatives. I said, "Mother, I belong to the Kayasta caste. Why should Radhu make pranam to me?" The mother bit her tongue and said, "Don't say this. Don't I know whether you are a Brahmin or a Kayashta woman? You have stayed here so long. Are you a Kayashta still?" Saying this, she said to Radhu, "Go and salute your elder sister." Immediately, Radhu made pranam to Sri Ramakrishna, to Holy Mother, and then to me. I returned her salutation. The mother laughed heartily and said, "So you returned the salute." But the situation made me feel uncomfortable, and so I remained speechless. One day, Radhu, Nalini Didi, and the others anxiously got hold of me. I was to tell them where my home was, what my caste was, and also about my near and dear ones. But I was reluctant to disclose such things. That day, the mother called them and said, "Why are you teasing my daughter so much? Come here to me. I shall tell you everything." All of them rushed to the mother. I too followed them. I thought, the mother never asked me about these personal details. Today I shall hear what she says. They all began to tell the mother. Shiro Didi has been here so long that she has never disclosed her native place, her caste, or who her relatives are. Today we requested her so endearingly, but she won't disclose everything. The mother said, "I can tell you everything. She was born in the land where oranges are grown. Her father-in-law lives in another district, and he is a very close relation of Chandrakanta. She has no one, not even her mother, but she has a brother." Saying this, the mother asked me, "Have I said correctly, my daughter?" As she mentioned the name of my mother, I heaved a deep sigh. The mother being the indweller, she could grasp the most innermost thoughts and feelings of others. She understood that my sigh was a sign of grief. Immediately she said, "Ah, I have mentioned your mother. You were overcome with sorrow, weren't you? But even if she had been alive, what could she do for you? She would have been a helpless spectator of your miseries. Do you still feel bereft of your mother, even after having a mother like me?" On hearing these words, I began to shed tears of joy. The mother asked Nalini Didi and the others, "What more do you want to know?" They said, "What's her caste?" The mother replied, "I shall not disclose this. They are devotees. They belong to one caste." The mother's words made me beside myself with joy. I couldn't utter anything. Are there any questions or comments so far? Gotten quite a dose of Indian caste and customs in this section.
I'm so touched by all of that. I mean, we got such a close look at how Mother was with other people, with women especially.
I can't hear this. I think we need more volume here.
Can you hear me?
Now maybe. Please say it again.
Now can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I was just so touched by that whole scene and how, the interaction of Mother with all these women and girls, and it was just so touching. I've never had such an intimate look at her life. It was wonderful.
Yes, and the way she's so encouraging to this girl who's obviously a widow and living in her in-laws' house, if she's still living in the in-laws' house. and her own mother's dead, and they have no position in society, widows. They basically are left to, not to beg exactly, but they don't have any, the in-laws give them food if they think they can. It's very tragic what used to go on. And to have her so completely enveloped with the mother's love made every difference in the world to her. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And also recognizing the fact that she probably was very young and had a romanticized idea of renouncing everything and saying, no, not yet. You know, I have lived my entire life in a domestic situation. So she knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
And also not telling her relatives what her caste was, because her relatives were really not nice people, to put it mildly. And they were hard to deal with. But yeah. Any other comments or questions? Okay. We'll read for about 10 more minutes, I think. On Kali Puja Day, I went to see the Holy Mother in the evening. That's this time of year right now. Kali Puja is coming up. The mother's house was very crowded on that day. On my way, I bought 5 champak flowers for 50 pice. With much difficulty, I could offer those flowers at the feet of Holy Mother. She said, "Today there's a big crowd. You need not stay here. See Sudhira and then go to Gordasi's place and talk with her before you return home." I was quite surprised at these words of the mother. Never before had I received such instructions from her. I asked, should I go in a carriage or should I go on foot? Should anyone accompany or should I go alone? The mother said, walk the distance and go alone. Will you remain a minor forever? Now go and come again later. Then taking the mother's name, I went out at once without any further consideration. Inquiring of passers-by, I reached easily the school of which Sudhira Didi was the headmistress. She was quite surprised to see me and asked, how could you come here in the dark? Why have you come? I replied, I don't know the purpose of my visit. I have come because the mother asked me to. On hearing this, Sudhira Didi called the resident girls of her school, saying, stop your studies and come here. She wrote, Didi has come from mother's place. Come and see her. All the girls came and surrounded me, but I wanted to leave, and so I said, as the mother has directed, I must leave for the Saradeshwari ashram right now. Sudhira Didi asked, should you go alone? I replied, the mother's direction was that I should go alone. I set out. As soon as I started walking, a gentleman came out from a room to the rear of the girls' boarding house and followed me. That was an unfamiliar man was accompanying me, made my heart palpitate. Gorima was of such a strict nature that she was likely to scold me on seeing an unknown man with me. But I didn't speak with him. On arriving at the gate of the Saradeshwari ashram, I said to the gateman, call Maji. Tell her that a woman from mother's house at Bog Bazaar has come to see her. A little later, Gorima came down with the ghee lamp in one hand and an incense pot containing burning resin in another. As I went to salute her, she said, can I accept your pranam today? She stubbornly refused to accept my pranam. I was amazed at Gorima's waving a light in front of my face as if she were performing arati. Soon after, the said gentleman moved forward to salute Gorima. Instantly, her appearance changed. She asked, where do you come from? Where do you live? Why have you come here? Pointing to me, he said, she had gone to Sudhira Basu's and had mentioned that she was coming to this place. I thought that since I had never met you, I would be able to see you if I accompanied her. That's why I've come. What's your name? Asked Gorima. On disclosing his identity, I recognized him, for I had heard his name. Gorima said, I have heard of you. You belong to Sylhet, which is now Bangladesh. Since Gorima does not live in Purda, you have met her. You could have met her anywhere. If you want to see monks, go to the Bellarmont. What is there in seeing a nun? The gentleman said, if I come here on Sunday, I can talk with you, I hope. Gorima replied, No, my daughters are staying here. I can't meet you here. Hearing this, the gentleman saluted Gorima and left. Well, that's very puzzling. You wonder who this gentleman was, and he just left. Then Gorima turned towards me and said, what do you think of the Holy Mother? She is none other than the Empress of Kailash. None should think of her as a human being. The Mother is the Guru of the world, the Mother of the universe. Since you have accepted her as your Guru, what is there to worry about? Then Gorima talked about the Holy Mother and Sri Ramakrishna for about 2 hours. I remained standing at the doorstep just as when I had come. She too was standing while talking. All of a sudden she caught hold of me and said, let's go. We shall worship the Mother. I said, I didn't have any instructions to go to Bagh Bazaar today once again. Besides, it has become rather late. How shall I return home afterwards? She said, come, I shall tell the Mother. So I went with Gorima. She also took 2 young girls, one of them carrying flowers and bilwa leaves, and another carrying fruits and sweets. She herself was carrying a kamandalu, a water pot with a handle. People in the street looked at us amazed. As we arrived at the door of the Mother's house, I heard Mother say, now Gordasi has come making a spectacle in the street. After going there, I realized that Gorima was the last one to worship the Mother that day. All others had finished their worship. Gorima worshiped the Mother for a long time, as one does in the Kali Puja. The worship was worth seeing indeed. Afterwards, everyone present partook of prasad. Gorima said to the Mother, she rode here again. She told me that this wasn't your instruction, but I said to her that I would mention it to you. The Mother replied approvingly, you have done very well. I spent the night at the Mother's house. I shall never forget in this life the joy I experienced on that night. And I think we'll stop there for today. Any other comments or questions? Okay, we will end with a chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. See you. Stay well. See you hopefully this weekend if you can come up. Now remember, the temple is open. This weekend, we will open the temple at 5 o'clock on Friday and Saturday evenings and keep it open till 6:45. So if any of you want to come up to the bookstore and come over to the temple to meditate, Vespers will be at 6 as usual. And we will have the bathrooms open if you need them. So on Friday and Saturday night. And then the temple will be open for the lecture on Sunday. So I hope to see